everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today's video, we are here to discuss Detroit Lions OTAs, organized team activities. Now, you're probably asking, why do you say that every time? I say it every time because it helps me remember, because I easily forget what that means. I always think oats, and I'm like, wait, it's not oats, it's OTAs. Organized activity teams. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. OTAs. Detroit Lions' first week of OTAs is in the books, and we have some takeaways from reporters from Thursday. So let's get it started.
Way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, and we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here. Hopefully everybody's having a great Friday. You know, Friday's the day after Thursday, right before Saturday. So hopefully it's good. We got some reports from Thursday from the Lions' final day of OTAs. It was kind of a ramp-up period because that was the day when they went 7-on-7 full speed, so we got some takeaways from that. Also, we got to hear from Penny Sewell. We got to hear from Dan Campbell. We have a list of players that did not show up to OTAs, even though over 80 players did, which is absolutely awesome. A lot of the vets and a lot of the leaders of the team did, so that was really cool. Some of these players, we don't know if they didn't show up because of injuries. They didn't show up because it's just simply voluntary. Sometimes we just don't know, but we're going to dive into it a little bit in today's video. And that's actually the part that I want to start off with first. It is voluntary. You don't have to be there. Maybe some of these guys are dealing with a little bit of injuries and are kind of, you know, resting here, especially some of the veterans. I'm not too worried when those guys miss because it is voluntary. They've been in the league for a while. You do like to see the players though because it is a new staff. You like to see them there. So the first player we have is Terrell Crosby. Now we're going to come back to this one after we go through the rest of the names because this is a big name, knowing that he has recently been in trade rumors for the Detroit Lions. That was probably a couple of weeks ago that the Lions were apparently, looking at their options. If there was a trade option, they could take it for Terrell Crosby. So we'll get back to that one. Then we have Michael Brockers. You would like to see guys like Michael Brockers out there. You know, they're new to the team, but honestly, everybody's new because it is a new staff. But you would like to see a guy like Michael Brockers out there, but he's the vet. You know, he's been in the league for a while, so I get it. It's okay. He was with the Rams, so there is a connection there. Since it's set up the way that it is, if guys miss the first week of voluntary OTAs, they could come back in the 4th week when it's for the young guys, but the vets can show up. A lot of this is really important for the young guys because this is very new to them. It's their first experience, so it's really important for those guys to be there. Rakeem Boyd is there, but he is dealing with a little bit of an injury. He was working off the side with trainers. He is there, but apparently he dealt with some sort of injury in rookie minicamp. So he's there, he's putting in work, but he's just working off to the side, not directly with the team. Tom Kennedy. Charlie Taumopau, that actually might be right. I might have actually got it right. The tight end out of Portland State. All right. I'm going to try to spell this. I'm not looking. I promise. I ain't looking. Here we go. Charlie, but Taumopau. Okay. T-A-U, Tau, Mo, M-O-E, Pow. P-A-W? No. P-A-U. I don't know why I said that. I was going to say U and I said W. Taumopau. Did I get it? Oh. I think I got it. He was not there for the Lions either. Very young player as well. Jamie Collins to switch his number from number 58 to 8. John Adkins, the defensive tackle for the Detroit Lions. We had a lot of defensive linemen. I'm sorry. I kind of forgot John Adkins. Yes, John Adkins was not there for the Lions. And apparently John Pennicini, but I'm not 100% sure about this one. This would be his 2nd season. I'm not 100% sure though because some people didn't report this one. Some people did not. So we'll see. I'm not sure really completely on the whole John Pennicini one. And Campbell said that when he talked to the players, when he talked to the leaders of this team, what do you want this to be? And he said with all this turnout, it tells him that they are committed. So Terrell Crosby's not there for the Detroit Lions. Again, it could be something where maybe he's doing with a little something off the field, maybe an injury, something, maybe he's not home. I think he is Detroit based on some of his Twitter posts, but I'm not 100% sure what's going on with Terrell Crosby. Either way, he did not show up. So it makes some people think, is this because, the trade rumors? Is he going to get traded because he's not showing up for the Detroit Lions? From this alone, I can't say that this means Terrell Crosby will be traded. I can't say that because I think it's way too early for something like that to happen when you consider how new a lot of these offensive linemen are, and they're all really new to the Detroit Lions staff. We have Matt Nelson, who played at the left tackle spot on Thursday, and we have Dan Skipper, who was playing the defensive line last season, and I didn't hear anything about Darren Paulo. Okay, this is the interesting one to me. No one brought up Darren Paulo. I didn't see him listed anywhere by anybody, so I don't know if he was there for the Lions. He was reportedly signed 4 days ago, another tackle. So I'm not sure what's going on with Darren Paulo. I don't know if he was there or he was not there. I'm not completely sure yet. But with that in mind, I don't think this means the Lions are trading him because he did not show up. However, the way that it could mean that is if they had a conversation after the Sewell pick, had discussions about it, and Terrell Crosby was open to a trade, and he's like, okay, there's no really need to go to OTAs then. I'm not completely sure. I feel like it's something that if the Lions trade away Crosby, it'd be probably a little bit closer to the season because they get to see what they already have at the tackle spot before they made a decision like that. And that Terrell Crosby made the decision on because now Penei Sewell is here, then maybe, but I don't think so. It could be. It definitely could be. He may not be showing up because he's waiting for a trade, but I don't think so this early, but we'll see. Either way, that's kind of the big one though, because the trade rumors, it's easy to obviously just tie them together. Could be as simple as, he's not there, he's dealing with something, or he just didn't show up because it's voluntary workouts. Might as well just keep it on the offensive line topic for a second and kind of go through some of the offensive line reports that we have from OTAs and what the lineups were for the Detroit Lions on the offensive line. So the starting offensive line is what we anticipated. Taylor Decker, Jonah Jackson, Frank Ragnow, right guard Big V, and right tackle is Penei Sewell. That's the offensive line right now. That's what they're going through with drills with. Of course, early in the offseason, things can change between now and then, but that seems to be where the Lions are going with this. Now, Penei Sewell at right tackle is a little bit different because he hasn't done that since high school. He didn't do it with Oregon, so it's kind of a little bit of a throwback. And they asked Penei Sewell, what is it like, switching to the right tackle position? And this was his answer. He said, it's not that easy. It has a whole different feel and it's going to take some time to get used to. He said he's right-handed, so he writes with the right hand. So he said it's like writing right-handed and someone tells you to write your name with your left hand at the same speed. It's going to take a little bit of time. So he said it's not that easy as a transition. Some people have said that as well. We heard Tristan Wirfs kind of say the same thing, but once the season got underway, Tristan Wirfs was, let's just say, pretty darn good. And I think the help of having good offensive linemen around him is going to be huge. But it is a little bit of a transition. He said it brings him back a little bit to his high school days. That background hopefully should help him a little bit. But back in high school, the dude was 350 pounds, which is just crazy. And apparently, he looks much slimmer now. Some people think he's going to check in at 310, 315 by the time the season starts. In college, he was looking at 330. So he's getting lighter, getting quicker, apparently. And at the NFL level, there's nothing really wrong with that. You're playing the tackle spot. You got a lot of speed rushers coming at you. Having that quickness and athleticism, if that means getting lighter, then that's what you do. Because you got to be able to keep up with some of these speed rushers, especially in our division when you got Khalil Mack. The Bears always have pass rushers. What the Vikings have done with their pass rushers in their front seven, what the Packers have in their front seven, you have to be able to keep up with some of these speed guys. So apparently he may be even lighter than we anticipated. But Dan Campbell said he looks like a rookie. He looks hungry. He looks aggressive, but he looks like a rookie. For right now, he's just focusing on the little things. So maybe not that easy a transition, but it's so early. He wasn't even there for rookie minicamp. So for him, he's only really been there for Lions for 3 days. Super early for him. But with those comments, it makes it sound as if, the plan is that he will play the right tackle spot this year, and they're going to work through it this offseason. He did show out in some workouts before the draft that he could do that. He did some workouts there to show teams, hey, I could play right tackle if you need me to. And when the Lions drafted him, apparently that's kind of what their idea is for this season, which makes sense. Second string offense line looks like this, from left to right. Left tackle, Matt Nelson. Left guard, they have Logan Stenberg and Evan Heim. Now, that's an interesting situation. So, remember last year, the idea was that Logan Stenberg was kind of like the backup right guard, even though we never saw him all year, so I'm really not completely sure what his position was. But backup left guard as of right now, competing with UDFA out of Minnesota State, Evan Heim. So, very interesting there that Logan Stenberg's playing that kind of role. At the center spot, we have Evan Brown, who we brought in as well. We brought him back. Tommy Kramer at the right guard position. So Tommy Kramer out of Notre Dame, another UDFA playing the backup right guard spot, apparently behind Big V. And the left guard spot is being a battle between Evan Heim, kind of switching in with Logan Stenberg. And of course, they're backing up Jonah Jackson. And then on the right tackle, we have Dan Skipper. Now, right now, out of those linemen, Matt Nelson is probably the most proven, and he hasn't even played that much. So that kind of goes back to the Terrell Crosby situation. I don't think the Lions would make a trade unless it was a awesome offer this early because they're not really sure what they have in terms of depth. We know Big V can play right tackle, but with that in mind, you also have to know that, okay, can a guy who can plug into guard here? Can we trust Tommy Kramer? Can we trust Logan Stenberg? Can we trust Evan Heim? Whoever it's going to be. That's what you have to be able to do. And with it being so early, it'd be kind of surprising they didn't trade that early. But again, they definitely could. But if there was a trade, I would expect it to be closer to the season maybe when teams are like, okay, we're doing our cuts. We got to make sure we get another tackle, and maybe Crosby's part of that. But that's what the offensive line looks like. Again, no Darren Paulo. He wasn't listed. He is a tackle. Dan Skipper played the defensive line last season, right? So Darren Paulo, very legitimately, I don't know if he was there or not, I would think would compete for that right tackle position. He was a UDFA a couple years ago. He was picked up by the Saints. Didn't keep him very long. He went to Denver. He was there last year. So Darren Powell's an interesting one, but we didn't hear about it. Now, Dave Phipp did talk about this, about 5 guys competing for this spot. Kick returner, we're not really sure what that's going to be, but we may have a better idea. But punt returner, a lot of guys are getting opportunities. Apparently right now there's 5 guys really that are getting opportunities to be our next punt returner. Jamal Agnew is gone. You got 5 guys. Number 1, D'Angelo Amos. D'Angelo Amos was with Virginia last season. Before that, he was with James Madison University. When we did our breakdown on him, the guy can return some punts. I think he had a total of 5 punt return touchdowns. Not the best competition, but the dude is dangerous when the ball's in his hands. He was reliable. I could definitely see him winning a role like that, and that could be his spot on the roster for the Lions, because it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to make it. That could find him a roster spot. Khalif Raymond. Now, Khalif Raymond has by far had the most experience doing this, not only as punt returner, but also a kick returner. Wouldn't shock me if he was our kick returner next season and punt returner, honestly. Khalif Raymond, in his career, has 56 punt return attempts for 463 yards, which is 8.3 yards per attempt. That's actually really good when you compare it to some of the other punt returners. And then you look at kick returns. He has 53 total career kick returns for 1,086 yards, which is about 20.5 yards per kick return. Don't get twisted. I mean, it's not like Khalif Raymond has been as game-changing as Jamal Agnew, but he's been good. Jamal Agnew last season averaged 12.7 yards per return. When you compare it to the rest of the NFL, that would have put him 7th. When you compare that to returners with 10 or more punt returns, that would have put him 3rd in the league. So yeah, he was one of the best at it. But if you look at Khalif Raymond last season, it was 9 yards per return, which isn't bad, 3 yards less. But if you, again, go 10 plus punt returns, guys in that category, he would have been 14th in the league. Not too shabby. It's not great, but it's not that bad either. So statistically speaking, he has the most experience doing it. He's done with the Titans, the Giants, the Jets, Denver. He's done it in multiple spots. Not always been the number 1 guy, but he could be for the Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, Amon-Ra St. Brown's interesting because we're talking about punt returner here. Amon-Ra St. Brown really hasn't returned kicks. Has done some punt returns in the past. He had 19 total attempts of punt returns in college, which just went over 100 yards, like 170 yards. So it wasn't fantastic production, but he's not the fastest guy, so I could understand that, why he maybe wouldn't have the biggest numbers there. But he does have reliable hands. You know that. We know the kind of demeanor he brings. But also back in high school, he did have some opportunities as a punt returner as well. So he's also in the running for this. And apparently he's been doing well in special teams according to Dan Campbell, watching him go through Dave Phipp's drills. Victor Bolden. Now, Victor Bolden, we talked about this in our last, OTAs video where we talked about photos. Victor Bolden was listed at running back. So is there a chance he's looking at more of a scat back type of role, kind of a position change, wearing the number 13? It's possible. He also has experience in this. He did it back at Oregon State. He was a returned man there. So that's really where his experience comes into play. We knew that he could do that when we brought him in. So maybe he's got a shot. And of course, Tom Kennedy. Tom Kennedy is lacking some size at 5'10", but he has had a role with the Detroit Lions as a backup returner in the past, so it's not completely new to him. It is something that he's practiced with for the Lions, so that's probably why. But he also does have some quickness to him. I mean, he has elite agility according to his RAS score. Also good burst while having okay speed, running about a 4.5, 540. So he actually does have some move to him. Of course, at this point, when you talk about special teams, everybody's really getting an opportunity right now to try to carve out a role, especially a lot of the young guys, UDFAs, things like that. They're all competing as gunners, all the cornerbacks, all the secondary players, receivers, Damian Ratley, all these guys are getting opportunities with Dave Phipp to try to, kind of see what they can do, because special teams, a lot of times that's where you can find some of these young guys' roster spots. Not necessarily Jeff Okudah, even though apparently he did really good and he looked fantastic as a gunner, so that could be his role. But a lot of these younger guys, specifically like kickoffs, things like that, that's really could find roles really early in their career. But apparently Okudah was really good at it. So maybe that's somewhere we see him involved next season, possibly. But all the secondary guys and some receivers, we're getting some reps there. Honestly, all of our receivers were getting reps there. Detroit Lions finished off day 3 of practice on 7 drills. Now, 7-on-7 drills, we know for these OTAs, there is no contact, there's no pads. They can wear helmets, but there's no pads. Full speed. It was the first time they did it in full speed. 7-on-7s, there's no linemen. So, of course, there's really no rushing threat. You don't run the ball because there's no lineman. That would make no sense. And there's no contact either. So it doesn't really make sense to run the football, which means play action really isn't going to be set up that well. You can run through them just to get, kind of it down, but it's not really a thing. So for this, it's a lot about the skill positions: receivers, tight ends, linebackers, corners, safeties, quarterback. I mean, that's what it's about. It's about those skill positions that kind of go at it to finish practice. And we do have the rundown of the results of every play. Let's go through it from the first play to the 11th play. Apparently we have 11 plays. The first play was a quick out route for Darren Fells. Now, when we go through this, you're going to notice that tight ends were definitely a big part of this 7-on-7. I know it's not a big sample size, but you can expect that. Expect tight ends to be a pretty big part. You look at Jared Goff's history, what he's done with 2 tight ends has been pretty impressive. So two tight ends could be honestly involved a little bit this season. Not always with Anthony Lynn. In the past, it was like that. However, with Jared Goff, it was like that. You know, we're talking Higbee, we're talking Everett. So there is a chance that with the Lions bringing in Darren Fells, who is apparently all over this 7-on-7 drill, he's been, you know, going everywhere kind of with TJ Hockenson, that those two are a very big part in this offense. And then behind that, you know, looking for some H-backs and looking for some depth, Alize Mack could be a guy. We talked about him a little bit in our last video yesterday. Next play was a swift crossing route that went for a huge gain, apparently. Now, if you know Jared Goff, you know that last season, specifically, a lot of his passing yards came after the catch. So expect a lot of that this season. Apparently, he didn't take a lot of shots downfield in these drills, which, of course, you can't set up play action, so sometimes it's not always easy to do that because you're just going against each other. But you can expect that, you know, he's going to allow these playmakers to try to make plays. Screens, crossers, mismatches. That's a mismatch. On this play, DeAndre Swift was matched up against Jalen Reeves-Maybin, and Maybin was out of the play, couldn't keep up with DeAndre Swift, who apparently has been looking incredible throughout training camp so far. Third play was a curl route that was caught by Amon-Ra St. Brown. The fourth play was a Cephas pass that was caught. Short pass to Quintez Cephas that was caught. Again, not a lot of shots down the field in this. Jared Goff apparently did look very accurate, and he showed zip to put the ball downfield. He only had really one pass that was off here, and that was the next play where apparently he threw it to TJ Hockenson. One person said it was confusion and it was a, you know, messed up play. The other one said it was a really bad throw, but for the most part, apparently he was very accurate, but that pass was incomplete, targeting TJ Hockenson. The next pass was incomplete, targeting Quintez Cephas. The seventh play was a complete pass to Damian Ratley, the former Browns receiver. The eighth play was a complete pass to Darren Fells, who ran up the seam. It was a really nice route, 10-15 yards for Darren Fells there. So 2 receptions already for Darren Fells attacking the seam, and that's where mismatches happen for tight ends. Linebackers, smaller guys, either they're too slow to keep up or they're too small to cover, right? Darren Fells is 6'7". He's a former basketball player. You can put it up to go get it. Darren Fells has some connections. He's been here before. The ninth play was a complete pass to TJ Hockenson on an out route. It was apparently a beautiful pass. Wish we could have seen it. We may see it at some point, but apparently a beautiful pass from Goff to TJ Hockenson. So another tight end target there. Then there was a completed pass to Darren Fells. You guys see what I'm saying? Like, tight ends were all over this. And then finally, an incomplete pass to Quintez Cephas. Either it was a drop or Amani Oruwariye got his hands on it. Now, with the quarterback groupings, it was Quentin Dunbar and it was Jeff Okudah. It was Melifonwu and it was Oruwariye. So we're not really sure, you know, what that necessarily means. Does that mean, those two are starters? It's still extremely early. I'm not really sure, but I can say all the cornerbacks, any of these guys can win that role. I think Okudah would be one of the top corners, but Amani could easily be a top corner like we've seen for years. Dunbar could definitely do it, especially if he gets back to 2019 form, because he was a beast, one of the best corners in the league. Go check out my video if you want to. And then obviously Melifonwu, who was the end of the day 2 pick for the Detroit Lions. Like, there's some cornerback depth, and of course you have Corn Elder to slide in there into the slot for the Lions. But tight ends were all over it, looking for mismatches, shorter passes, run after the catch. That kind of thing is going to be big for Goff. But you can't really, it's kind of hard to set up play action and take shots down the field, which is where a lot of shots for Goff usually take place. You can't do that on 7-on-7s because you're not running the football. There's no threat to that. There's no defensive line. There's no offensive line. He's very engaging with his teammates. He didn't take many shots down the field. And, you know, some of that could have been by design. Some of that could have been reads. They could have just been going through, okay, here's the first read. Let's just get it there because you're so early. They're kind of just throwing it at him, seeing what they can do. Rashad Perriman looks fast. He's big. He's fast. And the eye test will tell you this guy can fly. He had a phenomenal, apparently, one-handed grab. He toe tapped on the sideline, and it was just an outstanding play. The acceleration has always been there. Brad Holmes told us this when he went and scouted him coming out of the draft, how fast he really was, and people are like, whoa, he just ran it that fast when they timed his 40. But Rashad Perriman looks super fast, a lot of acceleration for his size, but he did have a couple of drops. He actually had 2 drops that were noted on Thursday. That's the biggest thing for him, has been the drops. He was really good with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He only had 1. He was only one of the few receivers in the league that had his main reception, so only 1 drop that he had. That's what he really needs to get back to. But again, I mean, we're literally, he wasn't there for rookie minicamp. This is the 3rd day for a guy like Rashad Perriman. So even throwing out the whole drops thing of his pass, it's the 3rd day, right? You're going to be rusty. You're going to drop the passes. You're knocking some rust off, right? It's very early, but he looks fast, which is good because that's kind of like his best trait. So that's good. Jeff Okudah showed off some fantastic hands. He was going through some drills where, you know, passes were getting launched into the air and he kind of had to go under and make some grabs. fantastic hand. So maybe Okuda goes to offense like Jamal went to offense. Really? No. Jalen Reeves-Maybin looks like he could be a very big part of this defense next season. We did a video a while ago on Jalen Reeves-Maybin, but Maybin has been a huge part of the linebacking group. In the past, been just a special teams guy. But with this defense, the way that he can schematically fit, we could see a much bigger role for Jalen Reeves-Maybin. Lonnie Tavai reportedly had lost about 17 pounds. He has slimmed down. He is playing the inside linebacker position, but he checked out at the top end at 268 last year, which is Trey Flowers size. You can't play that linebacker spot and inside linebacker spot at 268. That's huge. So one of the biggest things for him, slimming down, getting lighter, getting quicker. It was a goal. He went out to reach it. He looks quick. The coaches are very impressed. Passing the eye test early for him. I feel like there's talent here. It's just the guy had to get quicker. And he's getting quicker. He looks quicker because he's much lighter now for the Detroit Lions. Like I said, losing about 17 pounds. So he's pushing that 245 range. And he's playing the inside linebacker spot. Probably the weak spot, I would assume, which is kind of the position that drops a little bit more into coverage. If he's lighter, if he's quicker, that could be a great role for him because of his past reads. But I'm not completely sure which one. But regardless, inside linebacker. So not necessarily edge in a 3-4 inside linebacker. You will know more about that. We do have some scheme videos if you guys want to check them out. Trick is to get players to do work without realizing they're doing work. So make it fun, basically. Make them better, make it fun, but don't make it like, okay, let's just go run. We're going to get, we're going to get in shape. We're just going to go run back and forth. Like, no, let's do these little drills. Let's compete. Let's do small drills. He said Dave Phipp was doing special teams drills. Let's do these drills. Keep it fun. Not make it feel like work, but at the same time, get better. All the coaches here are really just being themselves. They're competitive. They like to go at it, but they're being themselves. And that's what the players really like about it. He said, these guys, these coaches, they know how to demand out of you, but they also know when to step back and say, hey, good job. I know what Dan Campbell said before he got here. He knows how to get the best out of players. He brought in guys that should be able to do the same thing, and that's been the big difference, and that's why guys want to be here. No one said, hey, can we do less time of this? Can we, have less practices? No, they all want to be there, and that's why we see such a great turnout for the Detroit Lions. According to reporters, there has been a much different feel at practice. At Patricia, it was all about running. It was all about, up-tempo, intense practices. They would sprint to their next drill and things like that. This one is a much different feel. A lot more resting, much more laid back, a lot of breaks for players if they need a lot of opportunities for that. So definitely two different ways to coach a practice is what we're seeing here. That's kind of the approach that they're taking to it. It definitely sounds more player inviting. It's really keeping guys engaged and focused for the Lions. But there has been much different feel around practice. I've heard there's been music that they're allowed to play. They're doing these little things to keep it fun, but they're mixing in these drills. They're not just straight going at each other because right now there's no contact. So they're doing these little games, little drills to make it fun, also get better, but not even realize you're working. So the guys want to be there. DeAndre Swift, who apparently has just looked awesome in camp. He looks very quick, very twitchy, is what Dan Campbell said. He said it was a nice breath of fresh air, which is going to pair really well with Jamal Williams. DeAndre Swift just looks jacked. Now, I believe it because, they said like his legs look huge. He looks like a monster in the lower body. I believe it. Look at this dude's dad. You knew that this offseason, this dude was going to get big. All right. You already knew with his dad, these guys were going to get big this offseason, which is awesome to hear for DeAndre Swift. Yes, a much different feel. Players are really enjoying it. The Lions are having fun with it. They're doing little drills, little competition. We heard from Malik McNeil, the defensive line was doing these little, games for competition because they can't have contact right now. And then, of course, we saw the Ali McNeil versus Penei Sewell, throwing the passes. They're doing these little things to get guys involved, and it definitely seems like the players are having a lot more fun this time around. OTAs will pick back up next week. That's about all I got for today's video. All the updates that I have. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you, Prime, for watching, and I'm out.